Hi everyone, my name is Tom and I'm going to explain the universe to you. I call it the universe in 3D. So we'll have a lot of new things. I will go fast. So here you see Niels Bohr model, and of course Niels Bohr model, he depicted the proton as the sun and the electron like the earth, because that's what you see when you look into space. So I put down the sun as a proton and the electron as an earth, and that spins around like an 8-track around the proton. And you can see in that track you see the double helix of the DNA. You see all that, the relationship with the sound, the wave of the sound. So in there, we'll come back a bit more later, but this is the original Niels Bohr model, and I made some changes to that. So you can see when you look below, you can see that same model coming back here. There's a little electron here, we don't know what it looks like. The proton, we don't know what it is. And the neutrino, which is right there. So I put the neutrino right in there too. We don't know what that is either, but I will try to explain that all to you tonight. Okay, so here you see my atom model. Now, the atom model has changed here a little bit because you see there's got to be, everything's got to be in here. So you see here all the light, okay? You see on the outside B, A, G, E, D, C, F in the middle, and all the sub sounds and the sub colors. So you have a light spectrum, and you have a sound scale occupying the outside coming from the proton. So here comes the proton, sets the ending of the atom. The neutron sets the beginning of the atom. I will explain that a bit later. So basically you have a beginning of an atom and an ending of the atom. The color green lies in the center, also in the two-dimensional way. The green lies in the center of the spectrum of light. So the green in the center, that's where the proton houses. It has a half plus and a half minus. Not a 1 plus and a 1 minus, but a half plus and a half minus. It's a big difference. Okay, so the proton sets the ending, the neutron sets the beginning. And in between we have the solid electron. Okay, so we have the 5 aggregate states of the atom. We have the solid electron. We have the liquid energy, the half plus and the half minus. We have the gaseous light, as you can see there. And we have the super solid neutron, which is right here, where it begins. And we have the supergaseous zerotron, which lies at the end. So the zerotron and the neutron, those are the opposing parts. Super solid, super gas, and the proton is like a super gas leftover from the zerotron. But I will explain that in a moment what the zerotron is. That is what I'm going to do next. So in here, you can see I have a new light spectrum. The light spectrum follows the center. Green is not part of the center. So the spectrum is purple, indigo blue with the subcolors, red, orange, yellow, white. Starting from black, purple, yellow, white. So that's the spectrum of light. Green is not part of it. The sound F is also not part of the sound scale. So you see all the sounds like C, D, E, F in the center, G, A, B, and the sub sounds. So basically F is not part of the sound scale. This is my new sound scale, where the C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F is in the center, it's a whole note but lies in the center, G, G sharp, A, B, B flat, and B. And then at the end there's white, in the beginning there's black. So the same is what plays back in here, you'll see in the sound scale. I have a new temperature scale. Basically minus 273 degrees Kelvin is 0 degrees, because the temperature should start at 0 and not at minus 273. So we live now in 293 degrees Kelvin if it's about 20 degrees Celsius. I also have a new periodic table that should be depicted as a function of hydrogen. You can use all the other symptoms just to make sure that you know what it is. But everything is a build-up of this atom. So everything that you see in the universe that is, and everything there is, that basically is built up out of this atom. So in here you have to find everything. So hydrogen 0 is the neutron on the supersolid. It has a mass of 1 plus 1 divided by 1836, which is the electron. And the zerotron has a number 1 as the atom number, as neutron has the number 0 as a start. But the mass of the zerotron is 0. That's a supergas, which I'll explain in a moment. Hydrogen 2 has a mass of 2. Hydrogen 263 is the heaviest stable molecule, which is called copernicum, which is solid. And there's an even heavier one. Hydrogen 297 is unionoctium, which has the atom number of 118. Copernicum 112. Hydrogen number 1, but it should be number 2. The zerotron is number 1, the neutron is number 0. So the neutron again is the beginning, the zerotron is the ending of the atom. So this is the new atom model with the new periodic table as a function of hydrogen 1 atom. The new energy register that should also have the 6 divisions. The new light spectrum, which is basically on the cycle of the 6 colors. And the new sound scale, which is also the 6 sound that you see on the outside here. So again, the proton sets the ending of the atom, the neutron sets the beginning. Now we'll talk a little bit on how this all works together. Now you know in your physics that there are protons and neutrons in the center, and there are electrons. Now I've always wondered what that relationship could be, so I'll explain that in a moment. Now here is supergas. So if you want to know what's inside the sun, the definition is as such. The electron, everything is so hot, super solid, super hot, that the electron occupies the extreme 1 limit. So basically the electron is the 1 limit. I drew in a proton here, but basically you see nothing. But it emanates, it's the same as the proton. So when the electron is the same as the proton, or in this case nothing, this is empty, well, this is what's supergas. On the other hand, we have when the proton and electron are completely combined and is very small, as it's compacted, this is white matter, and the neutron is called black matter. It's basically simple that all the matter has been as such compressed, that all the space has been removed. But I will come back to that in a little moment. Now here you have the 2 of them. So this is hydrogen 1 atom. You see it's not really an atom, it's empty. That's why hydrogen 1 atom is not really an atom. It is like the elusive atom. Because this is what creates creation. With 2 of them combined here, it starts to cool off. And you have 2 of them combined. This is hydrogen gas. This is hydrogen 4, which is helium. And you can see it can be made in different combinations because each opposing color makes the color green. So light, the color between red and purple, is also green. Yellow and blue is green. Orange and indigo is green. So the hydrogen can be situated in 3 different ways. Now about the center. Now, a proton is an electron plus, a neutron is an electron plus a proton. When that explodes, it becomes a proton and an electron. Now, if that explodes and the electron goes towards the neutron is very small, as you can see. The proton is very large. It's like the sperm in the egg, the neutron and the proton. This is the beginning. The neutron lies in the beginning state of the universe. The proton emanates or indicates the end of the universe. And you can see that at the extreme of hydrogen 1 atom, extreme, that's what it indicates. Now when the electron fires back at the neutron becomes overfilled because there's only place for 1 electron. It starts sending back, when it explodes, it becomes a proton again, and it sends back a photon, and the photon goes to the other proton. It collapses into a neutron. It explodes again because it's overfilled, and this photon is being shot to the other proton. It collapses again into a neutron. It gets overfilled, explodes again. So proton, neutron, off and on. Off and on, and both sides go off and on all the time as the photon is being shot back and forth to keep the beginning and the ending occurring all the time, which I will explain a little bit later too. So this is how matter works, and this is what creates the photon being shot back and forth, creates the bonding or the spine of hydrogen 2, but conversely with all the atoms. That's what creates the bonding between all the different atoms. Okay. Now to make that a bit more clear, I'm going over a list. And the list will explain, in basic essence, everything that will be explained. So this list, I will go fast. We have, here is the atom. So the atom has a solid and a liquid and a gaseous part, and a proton. The proton, I explained to you, is a supergas left over, and it creates the rhythm. The light creates the cycle, the energy creates the vibration, and the electron creates the pattern. So basically the mass comes from here, the electron, the spin comes from the energy, the speed makes the light, and the sound and the heat, that's the direction, it's what it refers from the proton. Now this is the atom. It builds the planetary solar system of Earth, water, air, and sun. And again, I have a solid Earth and a liquid water and a gaseous air and a supergaseous sun. That is that supergas, the proton is the supergas leftover that stays in the center, which I will show you a bit later. So atom, atomic universe. In the image of the atom, the universe is built. Solid, liquid, gas, solid, liquid, gas. Now, if that comes alive, which I'll explain also the next page, this has to come alive. Now, let's say that I'm going to explain that first because that will make more sense. Now to come back to the beginning. Now this is the neutron. Okay, the neutron star is very small and it has a big field of influence. This here, if we talk about the beginning of the universe, could be like 90,000 light years, 30,000 light years across. That could be the size of the universe. If this was the origin of the universe, very small in essence, in relative terms, but the influence field very large. Now when that explodes, it fills right away up with nothing, because when it explodes it becomes white matter. So basically white matter, the electron becomes the extreme one limit, the proton, which you don't see yet, is the center. That will only become apparent when it cools off. So the neutron star becomes the zerotron star. It takes over the extreme of hydrogen 1 atom, which you see here. So this is the extreme. This is how the universe is created. This gets done by two processes. It's actually by overfilling, or it is by overcompressing. When it overcompresses and it reaches its center, when that goes that far, it starts to reaction, it goes back the other way again, and it starts to go that way again. The other one is overfilling, because everything gets attracted in it, because this is only attraction, this is only repelling. So everything gets attracted in here until it grows like the baby does in the womb, until it's overfilled, and it explodes and becomes the star. Now when the star starts to cool off, it splits like meiosis, because you have to find it there too. Meiosis, so the electron, as you see I drew it right here, and the proton is a leftover, as you can see, from the original zerotron. So the proton is a leftover from that supergas state. So it indicates what was once there. Now you see already when I showed you earlier, in the center of the nucleus of two of them, there's a neutron and a proton, because we have to have a neutron and a leftover from the zerotron, that is in this case the proton, to indicate the beginning and the ending, the beginning and the ending. So the beginning and the ending constantly is inside matter, and it's reminding us where we come from and where we will return to. So here's the atom again that I showed you earlier, of the solid electron, the liquid energy, and the gaseous light, and the supergaseous proton, which is super hot. This is the atom, this is the planetary solar system. Now you can see it again, the proton lies in the center, as the sun lies in the center and occupies the green. Now earth, water, air is purple and indigo and blue. Earth, water, air is like the solid earth is like the solid electron, the liquid water is like the liquid energy, and the gaseous air is like the gaseous light. This is the supergas emanating the proton. Okay? That now has to go on a journey and become alive, which I ended up in the one before. It comes alive to the primordial soup of water, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, and there's two elements, phosphorus and sulfur. This is the primordial soup, which basically combined, but these four are the most important with water, are the most important ones. You see the solid and the liquid and the gas again, the same as the solid liquid gas, solid liquid gas. That over time behaves the same as an atom. As an atom creates the whole universe by piling up. The peptide is being formed by those elements, and when the peptides start to clump, they start to clump in more complex proteins, which by biochemistry, biology will find they will find the exact order on how that finds place. It's just a matter of time. That then becomes, over time, a living cell. Now here you see a new model of the cell, because again it has to be reflective of the atom and the planetary solar system. Go back to that and see how that is expressed. Now this is the DNA that goes downwards. This is the DNA that comes alive. So this is the atomic universe, this is the cellular universe, this is the non-living universe, this is the living universe. Okay, so the electron has to make something solid in the living universe. That's the mesoderm, or the bone and the muscle. The energy becomes liquid in the living universe, called the endoderm, or the blood. The light becomes gaseous, or the ectoderm. The nerve is gaseous, or the ectoderm. And it's by the plants and the animals, animals it's the same. With the plants it becomes a little different. With the plants it's a photosensor, and the endoderm would be the plasm, and in the mesoderm would be the fiber. So you could compare it like that. Now the proton gives the image. Image is a very hard to understand thing, because if you put all those together you have to put a face on it. So the proton gives the image. Now the earth gives, when you put the mesoderm and the endoderm and the ectoderm and the image all together, you get the cell body. Now you can see the cell body relates to earth, because it returns to earth when you die. Your body returns to earth when you die. Now the water creates the cell soul. The body gives you that, but the cell soul gives you life. But there's more. Life and death is not the only two things. There's also air. So the cell spirit is caused by the air. But the cell spirit causes consciousness, or your mind. So this is the will, the cell body. This is the heart, the cell soul. This is the spirit, the cell. This is the mind, or the cell spirit. So this is your mind, this is your heart, this is your will, and your personality comes from the cell void, which contains the totality of the cell. I'll show you that right here. Now you can see here around I've built it like a star. The same here, the same there, same there. So anyhow there's a star, because that's the cell void. You see the yellow part here, that's white. The yellow part is the cell spirit, which is the mind. The orange part is the cell heart, which is the soul. And the red part is the cell body, or the cell soul, or the will. So will, heart, and mind. And that's how they are depicted here. Now the cell, as the atom, has to go on a journey. The atom creates the planetary solar system in between, because you have to have something in between to make it come alive. That's the cell that is alive, the cellular universe. You can see that the three darker colors, earth, water, air, and the sun, are the atomic universe. And then the body, the soul, and the spirit, and the void, that will be the cellular living universe. Now that has to go on a journey. We'll go back to the previous page. Now here's the DNA that goes up, this is the DNA that goes down, this is your double helix one, when it comes to life. Now we have to have a journey of the cell. The atom creates the planetary solar system, the cell creates the creatures that live on creation. Now the mineral is the first level of the solid, electron solid, mesoderm, mineral solid. The energy, the endoderm, the plant, becomes the plant, it's rooted in the earth, you can see that here. And the life becomes the animal, which is crawling on the earth, which I'll show you in the next page. It will become a bit easier. And from the earth, we have the human, which is walking on the earth. Now the water creates the cell soul, which is walking on the water. And the air creates the cell spirit, which is flying in the sky. And the sun creates your personality, which contains the totality of you. And that is basically, it returns to the sun, because you are a sun being and you will return to the sun one time, and I will show you that on the next page. So this is the journey of the cell, this is the journey of the atom. Now here you see some interesting stuff. I made combination of colors here. This is actually the planetary aura. So basically, because it's a function of life aura on it, you have a primary aura of life, the cell body, cell soul, cell spirit, in here the human, the soul, and the spirit. But as a secondary aura, the planet, because of the life on it, creates a secondary aura. And it becomes the house of the soul and the house of the spirit. So basically you have the earth, which is the house of the bodies, which is the plants and the animals and the humans. Then the souls, the house of the soul, and the house of the spirit. That's where the spirit goes to and the soul returns to. But I will show you that in a moment. So the sun relates to the cell void. So this would be your whole build-up. Now go back to that journey again. Those are the bodies of earth. You can see that clearly now, rooted in the earth, crawling on the earth, walking on the earth. You see here, and that's where we are now, and it's red. So in essence, we are in this color. So you see, every color is like a floor in the universe. That's how it moves. So the next color will be orange, which is the soul. So how do I relate to the soul? This is who you are at night. When the body is dead or asleep, because death and sleep are synonymous, you are the soul at night. So that's really your dream reality, is your soul reality. This is the spirit. This is the reality, the light at the end of your life. So this is your spirit reality. You haven't connected with that yet. Now here's the most beautiful part. So we'll tell you the essence of this story. Because this is the sun part in you, which lies at the end of your aura, lies at the end of the zerotron, lies at the end of the atom, lies at the end of everything. So the end will return to the sun. You can see that it's white, the sun is white, the proton is white. This is the same as that here. The zerotron star, that's the same. That was one a neutron star, but when it exploded, it became that. So here's your journey. Your journey lies, if this is deduced, if I deduce you to one hydrogen, one atom, with all the parts in it, the solid liquid gas, your journey lies between the proton and the sun. So basically the proton starts your journey, gives you the direction, and when you're all the way home here, you return to the sun. So that is your journey between the proton and the electron. That's why that's green. And the phase is green, which I will explain in a moment. But the phase comes from the proton. Okay? So that lies in the center. So your phase is green. Now here you have the human aura. So I explained to you before that the mesoderm and the endoderm and the ectoderm, which is the head, the brain, and the lung, and the liver and the kidneys, they combine together with the face, with the image, because you need to have a unity. So you can see here the face unites the mesoderm and the endoderm and the ectoderm, and that becomes the body. You can see this is your body, but you have an aura. With the aura that are things, the aura is basically easily described as that part in you that you haven't given expression to, the part of your beingness that you haven't given expression to. So those layers are still to come. So the aura of the soul is about 1 foot away, and it feels like a vibration body. The spirit lies about 4 to 5 feet away in a more gaseous, wavy body. And at the end, it will be like a really brilliant, like a little star. And that's really who you are, a little star. Now I'll talk to you about the secondary aura. This is the aura of the planet. So in essence, basically, you see the planet in the middle with earth, water and air, purple, indigo, blue. And you see it's not easy to see, but there's life on it with a body and a soul and a spirit. Because this is still in your aura. You're still to come. So the life on this planet gives a secondary aura to the planet. Not easy to understand, but a secondary aura it gives to the planet. So the planet has a combined soul of all the life that is on it, and it has a combined spirit because of all the life on it. Now this is what happens when you die. When you die, the body returns to earth because it is a body of earth. The soul is then free because the cable that runs in between the nipples is then broken off. So basically the soul returns to the same places as it goes every single night when it is asleep. When you die, you go to the same places when you sleep. But no more cable connection. Now you will see as soon as the cable breaks, the light comes at the end of your life. There will be a tunnel, you will go to the tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel you will see the light. This is your light that you have to walk into. But what the soul is either one of those colors. You see, the soul has an aura, and the aura has a color. The color of the aura denotes your level of integration, or basically where you're at. So if the soul is yellow, it goes to the yellow place. It goes to the yellow hole or the yellow mansion. If it's purple, it goes to the purple place. Doesn't mean that anything is purple there, it's just that's the level of integration. So when you have a different aura, you go to different places. And when the soul becomes white, or when human being basically becomes white, then the soul begins. So what is the essence of our soul? You can see here there's no face on the soul. So basically when you're being human, the human being is your face, not the soul. So when you're done being human, or the bodies of earth, then the soul will get a face. So that's what you're working on. You're giving an eternal personality to the soul. That's basically what you're working on. That starts the soul the human being becomes white, and the soul is invading, because it becomes now a full eternal personality, and it starts a journey with the light. So the light will go and harvest the soul, and that's your next journey as a soul. Okay? So the planetary aura as we speak is at the present red. You can see here purple, indigo, blue, red. Human beings are red. And you can see green is nowhere to be found because green lies in the center, as you could see from the previous pages. So the face basically comes from the proton and determines your journey. I call this the journey of your face. And I will show you that in this picture. So you can see the same here. The face slowly disintegrates. Here you create a face. The soul creates the face. Here this face disintegrates, and then it becomes faceless. In between the proton and the sun, so you return to the sun. And that's basically the essence of your journey. I'll go back to the last page to see if I've forgotten something. So basically I talked about the secondary aura as a function of life. So I covered that. So quickly said, because I don't want to go into the detail, because this would be too much. So yeah, so this is my story for now.